I used to come home for lunch, maybe twice a month. The office was 20 minutes away, and usually it wasn't worth the drive. That Tuesday, the air conditioning in our building had gone out, and everyone scattered early to work remotely. I remember buying iced tea on the way home. That detail stayed with me longer than it should have. When I pulled into the driveway, I heard music from the backyard. Not loud. Something soft and old-fashioned my wife liked to play when she floated in the pool. I almost called out before I stepped through the gate. Then I saw them. My wife was in the shallow end, leaning against the edge of the pool. My son-in-law sat beside her with his feet in the water. Their heads were close together in a way people don't notice until they've been married 30 years. She touched his wrist when she laughed. Nothing explicit, nothing dramatic. But the world has a way of changing shape in 1 second. My daughter had been in Denver for 3 days visiting a friend from nursing school. Her husband was supposed to be working construction outside town. I stood there long enough to feel embarrassed for myself. Then I quietly backed out through the gate and entered. Through the front door instead, making noise this time. Cabinet doors, keys on the counter, the normal sounds of arriving home. A minute later, she walked in wrapped in a towel. Startled but composed too quickly. "You're home early." Office closed. She nodded once, no panic. That bothered me more than panic would have. He came in behind her carrying 2 empty glasses. He looked flushed, but maybe from the sun, maybe from guilt. Maybe those become the same thing after a certain age. We exchanged the kind of awkward greeting men use when they already know. Something has shifted. I told them I was going upstairs to shower before getting back online for work. Nobody stopped me. The bedroom smelled faintly sweet. Coconut lotion, maybe. Chlorine from the pool. On the nightstand beside the bed sat a lubricant. Bottle I recognized because we hadn't used it in years. There are moments where anger arrives hot and loud. This wasn't one of them. I felt strangely calm, like my body had decided rage would cost too much energy. In the garage, I kept industrial adhesive for woodworking repairs. The was nearly the same size, same color cap. I remember standing there staring at both bottles for a long time. Even now, I don't entirely understand what I thought would happen. Maybe I only wanted interruption, proof, a consequence impossible to explain away. I poured the lubricant into the sink and replaced it. Then I carried the original bottle to the outside trash bin. Upstairs, the bedroom door was closed now. I heard movement inside, low voices. My chest tightened so hard I thought for a moment I might actually collapse. Not from heartbreak exactly. Something duller than that. The realization that everyone around you has been managing your perception. I locked the bedroom door from the outside, not permanently, just the small hallway lock we almost never used. Then I went downstairs and sat at the kitchen table with my untouched iced tea. At first there was silence, then knocking, then harder knocking. My wife's voice came through the floor faintly. Confused at first, then irritated. I didn't answer. 15 minutes later, the irritation had changed shape. Another 20 minutes and panic entered the house like smoke. I still didn't move. Maybe that sounds cruel. Maybe it was, but after 32 years of marriage, something inside me wanted them to feel trapped for once. Eventually, I heard him shouting my name. Then came the words that made me finally close my eyes. "We need help." Not because of injury, because of stupidity. Because whatever they had done upstairs had turned into a physical problem. Neither of them could solve quietly. I called emergency services in the calmest voice I've ever used. When the firefighters arrived, 3 trucks seemed absurdly excessive for the situation. Neighbors drifted outside, pretending not to stare. An older firefighter listened to me explain, there was a bedroom. Accident behind a locked door. He looked at me for 1 long second. Not suspicious, not confused. Just tired in the way people become after seeing every possible version of human behavior. They forced the door open upstairs. I stayed below. There were muffled voices. Then a sharp burst of laughter someone immediately tried to suppress. Another voice said, "Come on, man," followed by more coughing laughter. It wasn't cruel laughter. That's the strange part. It sounded like disbelief. Like professionals briefly losing the battle against absurdity. My wife refused to look at me. When they brought them downstairs, wrapped separately in blankets for privacy. My son-in-law looked gray with humiliation. No one yelled. No dramatic accusations filled the house. The paramedics avoided eye contact with all of us. One firefighter paused near the front door before leaving. He glanced back toward me, then toward the staircase. "You folks should probably give each other some space," he said quietly. Not advice, just observation. After that day, the family separated without ever officially announcing it. My daughter learned the truth in fragments.
She stopped speaking to her husband first, then to her mother for a while, then eventually to me, too, though less completely. People imagine betrayal explodes. Usually, it dissolves things slowly instead. Weeks later, I sat alone beside the pool after sunset. The water moved gently from the filter current, making soft repetitive sounds against the tile. I kept thinking about how ordinary the afternoon had begun. An iced tea melting in my cup holder. A familiar driveway music drifting through summer air. By the end of it, the marriage wasn't destroyed by revenge or scandal or even exposure. It collapsed because, for the first time, nobody could continue pretending.